Here we are. Okay. So yesterday I did the first episode of If I Were King, and this is episode 2. I'm going to have a couple people hop on as guests later within this talk and maybe try to convince me of adjusting a few things here and there in the website. And yeah, that'll be pretty cool. So what I have up right now is what I came up with yesterday. Again, I'm putting together a website with this podcast that is my stances on anything legal or related to running a government, anything like that. And let's see. Okay, so these are the few things I came up with, and I did a reaction video that led to coming up with law enforcement section, and that's here too. And I'm going to kind of clean this up and adjust things. But first, the first thing I want to do is I posted on Facebook about this project, and somebody checked out the website and they gave some feedback. So I'm going to go and react to that feedback first. Let's see if I can find it real quick. There's Justin. I checked out the website. There we go. Share this tab instead. Let me see if this is showing up over here. Okay. So Justin said, checked out the website. I agree with the killing laws. Cringe at the use of the term well-regulated. Yeah, I need to check back with him to see why exactly, because the well-regulated part is let's see. So I said it killing is illegal aside from well-regulated assisted suicide. I'm putting out well-regulated because it's a complicated case where, I mean, somebody could kill somebody and say, oh, that person asked me to do it because they wanted to commit suicide. And if we accepted that, then we just have to accept every murder. So it has to be well regulated in some kind of a sense. But yeah, maybe it's not the best wording. I'd be glad to hear other thoughts on that. Okay, he says, I agree with your circumcision law, except I believe that it should be updated to say for minors. If an adult wants to have a procedure he or she chooses freely, I think that should be allowed. And I completely agree. And yeah, that's exactly what this is about. It's just adjusting as I go. And let's see, share this tab instead. Okay, so under illegal, it says circumcision, cosmetic reasons. Okay, circumcision for minors. Okay. And then let's go back to over here. He says the physical touch law would need a self-defense clause like the killing law. Oh, yeah, unwanted physical touch. So if somebody, that's a good point. If somebody wanted to not be touched and they said, do not touch me, but then they were to swing at somebody and punch at them, and then the person had to block or something defending themselves, they're making contact with the person that doesn't want to be touched. So yeah, oh, excellent point. I read through this yesterday, but I think I kind of skimmed over that one. So, okay, share this tab. Unwanted touch, shoulder tapping. Okay. So the shoulder tapping, for anybody watching right now that wasn't here yesterday, is kind of a joke. It's serious. Like I think nobody should touch anybody's shoulder that doesn't want to. But I have a friend that comes on the channel a bunch and talks, and he has a strong stance against the shoulder tapping element. So that's why I was kind of put here as a joke, but it's a serious joke. I definitely. It's as a joke, but I think it should be illegal to touch people's shoulders when they don't want to be touched. Including, okay, so I'm going to just take the aside from self-defense. And I'm going to move that over here. No, I want to touch aside from self-defense. Okay. And then let's see. Can I tab this out? Maybe I can do one of these guys. There we go. But then that goes to gray. Yeah, it's going to be good when I learn a lot more about this website building to be able to do this live without making it super boring by this just being a live way to see me try to figure out how to run a website. Okay. Yeah, so maybe I should do that for each of these. Oh, not that one. Whoops. Okay, so that one's not. Oh my gosh, the size of these, it becomes ridiculous. Because, yeah, I think if I go over here, I'll be able to see that it's really hard to see what's being written. So let's see. I wonder if I zoom in. Okay. So, okay, let me see if there's one other comment. Racial slurs should not be illegal. Also, being called racial slurs should not be ground to break the no physical violence law or killing law. It is, however, grounds for you to return unpleasantries with your fellow man. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And so I'm just going to leave that one where it's at. Let's see. Now, I'm just going to pull something up really quick. Current laws. Okay, so I'm going to adjust something based on a previous website I've made. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right page. Okay, I am. And so let me pull this one down here. Pull this up. Current, okay. Okay, so we're going to do pages. We're going to make a new page called Current Laws. Okay, and then that's going to be up here. Okay. All right, current laws. Okay. Whoops. Okay, we're going to close out of this. Close. Throw the text over. Okay. Outlawed. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to have a section that says outlawed, and then it's going to say actions toward minors. I'm going to make Okay, I'm going to add in a few categories from a separate website I've worked on. Okay. I'm going to remove this part. Actually, yeah. Okay, so I got abortion, circumcision, genital transformation surgery, and then breast reduction surgery. Okay. So now I'm gonna add for the abortion. I'm actually gonna take off this section. Okay, let's see. Carson can't jump on, but I'll listen and comment, listening while I do work. Good morning. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Lewis. And good morning, an honest doubter. Okay, I'm just updating a few things here and there. Phil's going to be on here to join me on the stream. Yeah, it's tricky. I can't decide. I'll probably figure out as I go. But I wanted to do a thing where I only do updates to the website live. And now I'm realizing how boring it is, just like kind of doing updates. But I'm giving this a good go. So let's see. Trying to see. Let's see. Prison guidelines. Criminal punishments. Okay, government restrictions. Yeah, you know what? I think I might do a thing where I do updates on a separate note, like a Google Doc, and then I copy and paste live. So like I'm making the adjustments live and I talk about them live. But I think it might go better if I'm not trying to come up with them exactly on the spot. But we'll see. I want to make sure I at least made those adjustments that I just mentioned. Let's see, home. Okay, I definitely wanted to make the adjustments for the circumcision being only for minors. And yeah, there we go. Okay. Cosmetic reasons. Let's see. Real quick, Michael, do you have any interest in hopping on here and chatting for like 10 minutes? No worries if you do not. And then I'm going to pull up a separate tab. Let's see, YouTube. Let's see. All right, Michael's gonna hop in here. Let me get this. Invite, copy. I'm just gonna share it here because anybody can come in and chat today. Okay, so I'm lining up a reaction video to a police interaction, and I will most likely do that right after I'm done chatting with Michael. Oh man, I need to have two monitors. So this is easier to look back and forth and be prepared for this. But you know, it's part of life. All right, I think I heard a noise that tells me Michael is here. Hello, Michael.
Morning. How you doing?
Doing good. Let me remove this. Okay, there. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the video I made yesterday. It was kind of the first episode of this project I'm doing, the If I Were King.
Yeah, I caught most of it. I'm just getting a bit of a delay. I think it might be because the YouTube tab is still open. Yeah, I watched most of it. You were doing like the police reaction videos and setting up kind of the starting point for the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so essentially, it's the solo project of the group society project. I'm just doing one that's
Yeah.
a focus on having people that aren't part of that project, but also are part of that project, coming in and helping me kind of shape my stances and whatnot. So the reason I wanted you to hop in here is to maybe either come up with some random law that I haven't done yet, or on one of the ones that I did, share your 2 cents. So I could tell you the ones I added after watching that police video, and you could try to maybe counter some of those. Or if you just want to tell me something on the top of your mind that is that you think is an important law to have, or even maybe not an important one that's just an interesting like side note, like the whole
hmm
shoulder tapping thing.
Yeah. Why don't you go through the ones that you have so far, and if one comes to mind, or if a random law comes to mind that I want to advocate for in the meantime, I will. I'll let you know.
All right, sounds good. So okay, so for the traffic ones, the police interaction ones, I didn't get too detailed, so it's kind of relaxed. But for one, I mentioned that running from the cops in a vehicle should
hmm
be illegal. Punishment based partly on speed and duration. I can't figure out if I think the punishment should be based on um, how many people are nearby in cars. So you know that whole idea where somebody could run a red light and a car's not there, and so they don't hit them and nobody's harmed. But somebody could do the
hmm
exact same negative intention and hit
hmm
somebody and they're dead, and then that
Yep.
person goes to jail for 10 years. I don't know how that affects this one, but do you think if somebody were running from the police for 20 minutes, driving 100 miles an hour, and they're weaving in between cars, would their punishment be worse than if they were doing the exact same thing and there were no cars on the road?
Um, yeah, I think it should be worse if the risk if the risk is higher.
Okay. Yeah, no,
So like
and
yeah, so duration and like other dangers that makes sense to me.
okay. Yeah, maybe I should add like a surround yeah, let's see. So speed, duration, and higher risk of danger to others.
Yeah, it's like
Uh,
as assessed by a judge weighing the facts kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
So not trying to like script that into the law, maybe provide like some example guidelines, and then let a judge kind of use their judgment.
Yeah.
Um,
Gotcha.
where did you land on the like if I hit someone versus if I don't hit someone?
Um, oh, I don't know. I didn't even attempt to go that route. I mean, I made a note that I think I might have put property damage, but I would say any costs that are accrued during running from the police would you would be liable for. So like you definitely have to cover medical bills if you hit somebody, but yeah, as
Hmm.
far as like punishment or anything, I didn't write anything of that yet.
Like, does that? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some thresholds there too, because like if I'm jaywalking and I accidentally, bump someone who, if bumped, would have some, unknowably severe condition happen or something. You know what I mean? Like they just had surgery on their left side and the stitches would open if they were touched and they would bleed out or something to death. And it's like if I jaywalk and because I'm doing that illegal action, I happen to bump someone and they happen to die, I feel like that's not a reasonable consequence to have known from the illegal action.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, if you're running away during a high speed chase, a reasonable consequence could be you like hit someone and kill them with your car. And so if that happens, that's reasonable. Like same kind of thing. It's like so if someone had a super expensive, I don't know, fence that you were driving beside or something. I don't know that example, but like um and by driving away on this road, I risk damaging this super expensive fence. It's like, should I be on the hook for millions of dollars to repair this like unreasonably expensive fence just because I didn't know it was a super expensive fence. I don't know. I
Mm.
feel like there should be some limits to the all property damages as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, for a second, I thought you were referring just to the idea of if you're risking the fence. But if you're meaning that if somebody actually hits and damages property, that they might not be liable for its actual cost. Did I hear that right?
I'm considering that,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. Because yeah, I think if you cause damage, w- probably at all, even
Well,
if
you're
not
saying the police,
illegal.
even like the police chasing you or something, caused
Oh,
the
if the
damage,
police
right?
cause. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead with your train of thought, though. Yeah.
Oh, it's all right. I was going to say with the police situation, I feel like we need to have it set that if we know it's the police and they tell you an order and you do not do it, then anything that happens within that interaction is on you. If it's not, then it's on taxpayers. And I wouldn't say that's fair, but I mean, money's complicated.
Yeah. That's a good point. But like, does it not seem kind of silly that like there could be some completely random expensive item just in the path of the chase, or you could put like a much less severe crime like jaywalking and you step on somebody's wedding ring and break it, which was worth millions of
Hmm.
dollars. And like it just seems to me that this, I don't know, like that's a lot to put on someone for something that's not a big deal.
I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The reason why that one's tricky is because I wouldn't imagine anybody leaving their property in the street. I can't imagine like making that work. Um, but
Well, jaywalking, you bump into someone accidentally and it knocks their wedding ring off their finger or something and falls down a sewer that's unrecoverable or something.
oh, I see. I see. I see. Um, yeah. Okay. No, that's a good point, and I don't think I'll be able to think that one through right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't figure out the right answer for that. But no, that's an excellent point, that there has to be some kind of wiggle room of range. Um, yeah. Oh, he cut out. He might be back. Okay. An honest doubter said, I do think you're jumping a bit. I think the core philosophy ethos of your kingdom should precede specific laws. Declaration of Independence preceded the Constitution. I'm not sure. I need a little more on that. Hello.
That's right.
It's all good. It looks really nice where you're at. Got good
This
weather
is the
going
place
on
we're
there.
renting. We got the attic suite above their garage here. This is the garage, and we're up in the top floor there. It's our BC place.
Nice. All right. So
Actually,
yeah,
that new movie with This Is Us, that the hot guy person from that. You know
I
who
know who
I'm
you're
talking
talking
about?
about, but I
Yeah,
don't know
he's
the
in a new
movie.
movie. He's in a new movie, and they were filming that here. It's kind of cool.
Wait, they were filming that there or just in the
Yeah,
city?
here in
Like at
this
that house?
property. Yeah,
Th- That's crazy.
yeah. I
That's
wasn't here
awesome.
for
Okay,
it.
well now I'm gonna watch the movie and then we'll
Kayla
watch
was,
this
and
back.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna ponder that one that we were just talking about and come back to it at some point. I also have a note here about fleeing after orders or resisting arrest would be illegal, but I mean that just seems perfectly clear. Well,
Hmm.
maybe not. Do you think there's aside from the possible worry of somebody impersonating a police
Yeah.
officer, which I can't come up with a great way to solve that problem that I don't think is a problem, but it's a hypothetical problem.
Hmm.
Can you think of any reasons why, if somebody flees or resists, that they should be off the hook?
Well, other than I feel like you covered this pretty well. Like you said, there's certain orders that maybe you shouldn't follow. Like if they order you to shoot someone or drive off a cliff or something. Um, I feel like maybe um, the only caveat I might consider that I didn't hear you mention was like if the person feels like uncomfortable that it might not be legit, that they have the option to like call call the police line and have them verify the identity of the person, or that
Oh yeah.
um to bring someone else or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the example that is in law right now is if a cop is trying to pull you over, you have the ability to not like drive to a place that is like lit or has cars there if you're afraid of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's been instances where people have put a fake siren on in order to kidnap people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be
Yeah.
sort of the equivalent.
Maybe as long as you're not causing a wild disturbance. If you say, "I want to," man, my throat's messing up. Saying that I want to verify that you are a real police officer, and then you just call like 911 or something. Most people probably don't know the number to their police station,
Yeah,
and then you wouldn't want to get a number from the potentially fake cop.
yeah, true.
So you call 911 and say, "I've been pulled over. Can you verify that this is a real person?" And then maybe it's like a badge number situation, or
Yeah, and I'd even be okay with there being a fine to do that or something. Like if it starts to be the case where everyone just does that to be annoying all the time, it's like
mm-hmm.
just fine them $200 to have the check done, or I don't know, maybe as an option.
Ooh, the person. The person that wants to make sure that it's not somebody trying to kidnap them and kill them, they should have to
Yeah,
pay to make sure it's a cop. I don't
I don't know.
know.
Sure. I don't care. I don't care about that. Maybe not.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that one's pretty interesting. Okay, let me see what else I got here. Property damage costs. Okay, yeah, that's what we talked about. Driving with a suspended license, first offense extended suspension, second offense jail time.
Driving with suspended license, first offense. What was the first offense? Sorry, a fine?
First offense extended suspension.
Mm. Sure.
I didn't want to have first offense be jail time because, well, in general, unless something's very severe, I think first offenses should be mostly warnings of sorts because not everybody can know every law.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
guess you know
Like
the
it.
law if you have your license suspended, though, because
Yeah.
it's suspended. So, um, but somebody in chat yesterday was talking about how, like, if somebody's homeless and they have a car, but I couldn't come up with a way to really justify that. Like, I feel bad if they're trying to get their life together and they need that car to get somewhere to work, but I can't see it working for like a living situation because if you live in your car, you don't need to drive it because wherever you would drive it to sleep in, you could just leave it there.
Maybe. Not
Um,
necessarily.
well, why not?
Just as an example, I think you can stay overnight in a Walmart parking lot as many nights as you want, but you probably can't just like permanently keep your car there.
Oh, okay, good point.
But
Hmm.
yeah, I don't
Okay.
really have an answer for that one either.
Yeah. Okay.
I did think of
Okay.
a very basic law that maybe you should add. I
Yeah.
don't know if
Yeah.
like I don't know if you have a default of where all stuff is legal or all stuff is illegal unless specified. Do you have that?
So right now, it's just imagining that aside from what's written on the website, everything else is good to go. You
Okay.
can do
So
anything.
then you cannot. Have you discussed property rights at all?
I haven't. I made a note that just says
Okay.
property rights.
Yeah.
That's it.
Uh, so how about like who can be property and who can't? So
Like
like for
people
example,
be
can
property?
can animals be property? Just as an example.
Oh, I see. I see. I see. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Okay, so I want to ask you about this a little further because I watched a video with a police dog that helped find this kid that was missing. The kid went missing, and the police dog like smelled out, like basically went into this nearby forest and found this like 3-year-old that wandered out into the forest. And I thought that was such a cool video. It was really cool. The dog found the kid. I don't know what goes into like the training of a dog like that. If they just have a miserable life because they're constantly being forced to focus on one thing. Hey, puppy. Um, so, what are your thoughts on a police dog of any kind, but maybe even also specifics where if you think there's one version that's not good, like the ones that tackle people, where the ones that sniff out stuff are good?
Um, in general, I would say I'm against it like unless we have a high degree of confidence that it gives them like a better quality of life somehow. Like if we really knew somehow that dogs got some high sense of fulfillment out of serving a purpose like that and enjoyed the training and it wasn't too, abusive, that sort of thing, I would maybe be open to allowing for that if I was king.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, in general, I would be probably against it. Because it would be like, just like, let's suppose you had a human who you knew was extremely good at detective work. Would you be for like forcing them into a line of detective work if it would save that 3-year-old kid? It's like, probably you wouldn't. So I would just
Mm-hmm.
say the animal in the same situation.
Okay, yeah, yeah, and I usually feel that way. Since I value humans slightly higher, and I think there is a higher level of sentience, and I don't have a full understanding of exactly what that is. That's why I'm a little unsure, especially in cases where nobody else can do it. So, a dog that helps a blind person walk, I don't think that should be a thing. I think a human should do that. If a human should do that, if anybody should do that, I think a human should. That should just be a profession that exists. Um, Whereas something like the ability to smell and track the way a dog can, that's the only those are the only cases where I find myself thinking maybe depending on how the sentience works, I would say since there's no other option for this. But yeah, I think I lean towards no animals forced to work. What would the threshold look like for you if right now we have what we have, and then tomorrow there were no police dogs, and then out of all the drugs that had been found going like through airports or people in cars or children that were found that were lost, um, that we all of a sudden now have this much more crime or
Right.
this, like is there a certain amount of kids that like if every year for the last whatever years there was like 20 cases of kids found by a dog, where now this next year there's like 15 kids die and
Hmm.
5 kids were found super hungry, but they were found later.
Yeah, it would depend on those things. There would be a threshold. It would also depend on the conditions of police dogs and that sort of thing as well. Because like I'm against the being forced to work and that sort of thing for the dogs. But then it's like it would take many more kids to meet the threshold if it was also terrible conditions for the dog, to be trained to be a police dog and to live as like I feel like the drug dogs especially are they like addicted to cocaine and that sort of thing. Like I feel like it's not a good life
Mm.
for them. Yeah, there
Without
would be
any
a
further
threshold, but the threshold would probably be um, like assuming that it's not a good life for the dogs. It would probably be something like um, one kid saved per dog or something like
Gotcha.
that.
That's a good way to look at it per dog. I was trying to think of how to come up with a magical
And even then,
number.
maybe that's too low. Maybe it'd be more like two kids per dog.
Hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, no, that sounds about right. Are there any animal professions that you could animal professions? That sounds funny. Are there any cases where an animal is made to work that right now you are on the fence on, or if there's one you're more on the fence on than a dog that finds kids?
Hmm.
Like if there's
What
a
can you? What are?
Amish
Yeah. I
society
understand the
that
question. I'm just trying to think of like what are. Do you have any examples of like ones that might be?
for some reason this popped into my head, but if there's an Amish society that has like wagons and horses and they just don't want to do cars, but like that's how they move the wood from this area to that one to build a house,
No.
is it kind of they just have to get with the times?
Yeah, gotta go with the times.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I can think of any others. I mean, there's a
Like
handful of support.
one I could maybe see is like if you have a field of grass and you want to hire quote unquote a sheep to eat that grass and like live free in it and fertilize it with the poop like that, but you're not going to kill it or do anything to it. It's like if you're kind of providing, but I wouldn't want you to like forcibly impregnate or anything either. It's like but if you're just literally providing um like a big field for sheep to walk in, and
Hmm.
I don't know, I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so then that covers all the uses that of
I got to run in
animals.
like 5 minutes too. Sorry.
Okay, so just this last element of the five, and then I'll take
Yeah.
this part that we're talking about and add my thoughts onto the website. But wh- what would the law become if you were king when it comes to animal ownership? Like, do you think it should be um, would it be worth making it basically illegal in the near future to own animals completely, and then we have the rescue animals, and we spay and neuter, but by the year 2060 or however long we can predict, as long as people do not breed anymore, that as of like 2060, 2070, you cannot own pets anymore?
Hmm. I don't. I don't know. Like if I'm as against like pet ownership. like as you are. Um, I just like I would want it to be. Yeah, I guess on the net I am. I'm thinking about like just myself, and it's like I'm 100% confident that my dog has an awesome life, and I know like my dad's dog has an awesome life, and like, you know, runs free at the lake on the property, and just like, has just he's also not like killing anything. It's just he's not like, it's not like a cat where they're gonna murder like hundreds of birds or something,
Mm-hmm.
and like I don't know. Like it seems like it's a win-win for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're creating a life and like if you wanted to leave, she could. Like I would try to bring her back, but like I wouldn't be able to catch her. Probably she'd be able to just run away.
Gotcha.
But I feel like it's not maybe practical for that to be the case for every dog. And so how would you? Yeah, in an ideal world, if a dog could have like the kind of life, could be guaranteed the kind of life that, beyond some bar, I guess, I would be in favor of it. But then
Mm-hmm.
below that bar, like for the dogs who are on a leash all the time and inside, and like, I would say that's maybe not, I would be against that.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
that's not super clear, but I think there might be a place for it, but it would be very specific, and it would have to be kind of the edge cases, not like the norm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the hardest thing would be what would make it work best would be something like welfare checks, but how
Yeah.
can we afford that? Can we afford having everywhere where a dog is registered to live with a
I
person
mean, if
that
the owner pays for it, then yeah, and it's like that's
oh,
part of like the if you want to have a dog. Yeah, I guess the other part is like how do you end up with the dog in the first place? Because like we always rescue, but if there aren't any dogs being bred anymore, would there still be rescue? Maybe not. And then I would not want there to be like a breeding. So as I'm talking this through, maybe I'm against it in the by 2060 or whatever. But in as far as like the rescue things remains available, I would say like that is still fine. And maybe as like the demand increases beyond the supply, that we put in those welfare standards with welfare checks funded by the pet owner would be one way. Um, yeah, maybe application process showing, what your plan is and that sort of thing, and would be another way.
hmm
Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
cool.
Those are my
No,
thoughts.
no,
Yeah,
that's good. I'm gonna add a note about that right now. But anyways, thanks for talking. You have a good one.
yeah, yeah. Cool.
All right,
See
see
ya.
you, man. All right, cool. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, let me make a quick note on that. But I need to read this. You're already presuming more or less a representative constitutional republic. So is the concept if I were king of the U.S., if not, everything would be up for review and replacing. So yes, I do want something like a republic. I do want basically. I think a good amount of elements of the government, or at least the Constitution in the U.S., is what I would view as probably best from my knowledge and what I know now. Um, and so with the idea of me being king, it's like, what would I do? What would I do? Like in a sense, it's what would I do if I was senator? Because even though a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on a president, they don't really do much, or at least they're not supposed to. It's kind of like an honorary title, whereas like a senator has the highest level of putting forward ideas of laws and then voting on laws. But even more so than that, I think humans in general, like outside of society, is the idea of coming together and making a society. The best way to progress is to have conversations and to say, oh, we should do this and not this. Like, well, oh, this guy over here did this horrible thing, and we can't get him to stop. Oh, maybe if we built this building and put him in it, then He wouldn't be able to be out here with the rest of us harming us. And then somebody thinks that this thing should change, but how can we decide who gets to decide what change is? And then you're like, okay, well, let's have these things called politicians, and and then conversation slowly builds to this ever changing thing. So yes, let's see, but yeah, it's kind of like I'm looking at a lot of things from an angle of the U.S. So if somebody wants to argue with me that, oh, this thing should be in place with like police or something, when we look at stats, I'll likely look at stats from maybe the U.S. And when I make a note on the website of the changes I'm going to make, I will point out, if this were in the U.S. at this time, then this. Whereas everything else will be more specific. But I don't know. We'll just kind of take it as it goes. Let's see. So you'd have to start at the foundation, and the laws would follow from that foundation. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I do have to have a foundation. But so when I take the U.S. Constitution and essentially rewrite it, but make it similar to what it is, that's going to be what I would think would be best, the best political system to have, the best system of government. But then as I go on, everything that I talk about would just be my stances of what I would do essentially if I was a senator in that government. But I do agree that might be the best place to start. It seemed like maybe a more boring place to start. I keep wanting to do a video where I'm breaking down the Constitution and like kind of reforming it. But and I will do that. That'll probably be one of the next ones I do. So I am kind of just going out of order. But yeah, let me pull up, bring this website back. And so I just talked to Michael, and now I'm going to make some adjustments because we were talking about the idea of animal ownership. Let's see, current laws. Okay. Laws regarding animals. Okay, so again, I'm going to this other website for a similar project that I had done, and I'm copying and pasting things and then adjusting it. So laws regarding animals, and then actually, here, let's just do this. Okay, so this top one says outlawed action towards minors, and then this other one says outlawed actions toward animals. I'm going to delete this part that says details. Okay, so these were all ideas that were voted on by a project I was working on and I'm still working on called the Society Project, where it's basically this idea of if I were king, but it was a group of like 50 of us. So this is kind of just my solo project version of that. So let me make these all bigger. There we go. Okay, let me see if this is showing up. There you go. Check the condition authority. Interesting take on that. Yes. I'll try to remember that, or I'll check back and read that later. Or if you can send me a link on like Facebook or email or something, that'd be awesome. Okay. There we go. Yeah, dehorning. Okay. So let me see if what me and Michael just talked about is covered in here. So outlaw action towards animals, dehorning of farm animals. I am against that. Hot branding of farm animals. I am against that. Artificial forest breeding, against that. Pet selling, against that. Should it be illegal to sell? Yeah. What one can do with money is so complicated in a society. But for now, I'm going to put that, yes, pet selling should be illegal. I'm going to write, I think. or I'll change that to maybe. Maybe / likely. Animal racing should be illegal. Animal shows should be illegal. Owning snakes. Okay, so when we had voted in the past, we put owning cats, birds. We got kind of specific on different things because some people were in favor of owning some animals and not others. I'm just going to write owning animals and maybe likely, which would include the pet selling. So if you couldn't own animals, there would be no pets. So I can remove the pet selling. Okay, remove the pet selling. Actually, I can remove a lot of this. Okay, so this is complicated because even though I do not eat animal products, I do think there are some cases, like if it were to be true that it would be healthy for humans to eat animals, then I wouldn't think that it should be illegal to do so. I don't know, so I'm kind of torn on the idea of if it should be fully illegal to farm them. I think so, but it might depend on cages and whatnot. I'm going to say as of now, I won't outlaw hunting, but I will outlaw animal owning for now. We'll see how it goes. Okay, which means the veal can go away. Okay. Dehorning. Okay, so I can actually erase everything in here and just have it be that it's illegal to own animals. So that would mean like if somebody went out and they were hunting, they're hunting, and that is what that is. But aside from that, humans owning animals would be a no-go. So yeah, and as far as what happens in the meantime, as far as somebody having like a rescue animal, yeah, it's complicated. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to leave that exactly where that's at. And then let me see if Phil is here to chat. I'm going to send him a link really quick. Invite, copy. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I sent Phil a link. And then I'm going to have this be the tab to share. I'm actually going to make this smaller. Let's see. Let me close out of that. Code Blue Cam. Okay. We are going to do a police reaction video. Okay. Let's do this one.
Being arrested for? Why am I in handcuffs? Any one of y'all gonna tell me that? Protect your.
Hold on. Okay. We got an ad, I think.
Concealed carriers across the United States make a huge mistake every single time they get in their car. That mistake.
On November 8th, 2022, police were dispatched to a residence for theft from a motor vehicle in Wausau, Wisconsin. Upon arrival, officers made contact with a male subject outside the house. The male stated his backpack was recently stolen from his vehicle. He tracked his location with Apple AirTag, leading him to the reported residence. He also said the backpack contained several important papers, including military documents and banking information. He told police he knocked on the door, asking the resident about the backpack, but they claimed they didn't know anything about it.
Matthew?
Yes, sir.
Officer Austin, what's going on?
So my bag got stolen today.
Okay.
I wouldn't really care for it, except there's military documents in there that I need.
Okay.
So they got pinged at this house right here. I knocked on both the doors and they said they don't want anything of it. It was at this house right here. I mean, it's kind of bugged around, but her and I drove here and it's been, I don't know. I mean, I looked in the grass. Maybe somebody threw out the window, but I can't find anything. And I tried to ping it and play a sound. Yeah, I can't. It's not in the grass. I can't ping it.
Can you just show me the pin again, just kind of where it's...
Usually it's right there, but before it was right over here, so it's kind of been jumping back and forth. I don't know if somebody's moving it around.
Okay. What kind of iPad is it?
It's a backpack.
Oh, backpack?
Yeah, it's like a black military combat bag.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean,
what's in it that you're tracking?
an air tag. So I don't know if you know what an air tag is, right? I don't know if somebody might have thrown out the window. I wouldn't care if they took like the shaving cream. I wouldn't care. It's a travel bag, so I wouldn't care if they took anything else. But there's a food binder in there. Yeah. And it has my banking information, my notes, my military documents. I need that right there. It can. I don't care about
Okay.
anything else, but-
I mean, it could very well just be in the garbage. Sounds like somebody answered the door, though.
The resident was later identified as 19-year-old Mario Camacho Jr.
Mario? Okay. So you got the backpack here, or?
I actually don't. I have neighbors, and he told me that he talked to them.
Okay. These neighbors over here?
Or these ones. I don't know. He came from this house.
Oh yeah, the air tag is going right here.
What? At this address, it can be.
That's my bag. I was cleaning my car out, but that's what it is.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, I don't know why it would be popping up here. Like I said, the neighbors, anybody else in this area, I'm the only one here. I know what is in this house, and there's definitely no backpack in here.
All right. Just I might come back to chat with you. Just think tight.
They searched the garbage cans outside Mario's house and discovered several empty purses and wallets.
5962. Can you advise, were any purses or brown wallets taken from these vehicles? These garbage cans are full of purses and brown wallets. There's credit cards here too.
You guys allowed to look through my property?
Yeah, garbage. Yeah.
While the officers were waiting outside the house,
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I wonder if you're allowed to go dude, this guy should go to jail and offered a job when released. Yeah, definitely. It seems clear that he's a criminal, or at least somebody in the house is. And yeah, I mean, it's complicated. There always could be reasons for something wild like purses and a bunch of stuff. Like maybe somebody robbed a bunch of people and left stuff nearby, and then it just cleans up the garbage near his house, and so he picked it up and put it in there. Again, that's going to be the most unlikely thing in the world, but it's always possible. So it's worth thinking about to what extremes we should view things as official issues or not. But yeah, one thing that's interesting, so he asked if he's allowed to go through that. So usually you can't search anybody's property without a warrant. There's a thing called probable cause. And so if you pull somebody over, you can't search their car without their permission. But if you have a dog that smells around the car and there's drugs around the car, or if the drug smelling dog it alerts to what likely is drugs, then you can. Or if you spot something, if you see a handle of a gun or something, then you have probable cause to look in. But you can't just say, I think this person likely did something bad. They have a history of crime. They have this or that. And so looking through property is interesting. Now, the officer just said, yeah, we can look through garbage, but I don't know if he's lying or not. But more importantly, when it comes to the project I'm doing where I'm creating this website, I got to decide if I think it should be fine to do. If an officer just randomly came to my house right now and started looking through my garbage, I don't know if that's fine to do. Now, when we're looking at something like this technology, that's pretty awesome, where the guy has something that's part of his backpack or in his backpack that is making it so he can actually see on a screen where it's at in the general direction. I think they said that it seems like it's that house, but it could be like somewhere in the surrounding area. Like it makes you wonder if that's enough to go off of to be able to search a garbage can. But then again, yeah, I think maybe there'd be something like getting a warrant to do so. Yeah, I'm going to ponder that one a little further. That's pretty interesting.
An uninvolved female pulled into the driveway.
Okay, garbage in a public area is searchable by anyone. Ooh, yeah, but I think it's on somebody's property. So we got a couple houses here. These are residential areas, and he has a garbage can up against his house. I don't think that's public property. Yeah.
What's going on? What's going on? I just want to know what's going on because I drove by and I seen y'all searching through my brother's trash can, so I'm just wondering what's going on. Well, someone's got to let me know what's going on. Can you tell me what's going on?
You live here?
I come here often and I drove by and seen you guys searching my brother's garbage can, so I am just wondering what's going on.
Okay,
And
well,
there's cars out here.
If you don't live here, you don't need to know right now.
Actually, I do. Mario, what's going on?
10-4, you have enough key runner.
The female was later identified as 22-year-old Chertisha Camacho.
Who are these people?
They're the ones who called us.
Okay, so they don't live
Henry,
here. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
So
why I just
he
wrote
had
past
a
you guys
bag
and searched through
stolen.
my brother's
Will you let me
garbage
talk?
can.
Will you let me talk?
I actually been asking y'all to talk since
Okay.
I pulled up here, so
Well-
yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
So he had a bag stolen from his car last night. Had an air tag in it. Air tag places it somewhere between these two houses. So
You know who lives in the other houses?
we're talking with them right now. We're gonna go next door, but the air tag shows
Okay,
it right
that's
here.
fine, but don't go searching through my brother's garbage can for
It's public.
All right. In 1988, a case referred to as California versus Greenwood, the Supreme Court ruled that an individual held no reasonable expectation of the privacy in their trash. Thus, the Fourth Amendment does not prevent law enforcement officers from searching and seizing an individual's garbage. Yeah, that's very interesting. Because, I mean, yeah, there's a certain element to it where garbage is garbage. You're declaring that you do not want that. If the trash truck comes and picks up your garbage can and dumps it, that's because you put it in there and that's what it's for. That being said, if I was a weird person that I view the garbage can as my property and I want to store things in there for some reason, I just store things in there, and then the day of trash getting picked up, I take that stuff out of there and I put garbage in, and then the trash truck picks it up. Or better yet, there's garbage cans that are clearly marked and do what they do. But what if I make my own garbage can? Like I make my own can that looks like a garbage can, and I'm just calling this a decoration, and I want to store things in it. I don't know. I'm kind of shocked that the Supreme Court ruled that way. I'll read the whole what's it called when the Supreme Court writes up their I can't think of what it's referred to, but I want to do more when it comes to reading those things. So, true trash bin can be searched usually. Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That's complicated. I'm gonna ponder that.
Y'all don't have the right to do that.
That's
And y'all
public
know
property.
better than that because y'all are police officers.
We
Don't
have
do
the-
no
we
shit
have
like
the
that
authority
without
to do
permission.
it.
Straight up.
We have the authority
It's really
to
that.
search the
No,
garbage.
you don't. Now without my brother's permission, you don't. That's illegal in a. I can't even search my neighbor's garbage can. So I know you can't search my brother's garbage can. Don't do
Okay.
nothing like that without his permission. Thank you.
Okay. So what are we doing right now? Here.
Due to the AirTag ping location and marijuana odor coming from the house, officers found it reasonable to make entry and make sure there were no other residents.
All right, who else is home right now, Mario? Just you? All right, I'm gonna have you step out.
Are you?
Have a seat for me. I'm gonna be securing the residence because the residence smells like weed. I'm gonna be applying for a search warrant. Is there anybody else home? Okay, have a seat.
Is there anything I can do?
Have a seat for me right now. We'll talk about that later.
Hey, Tisha. Hey, Tisha. Police department. Make yourself.
All right, so he said he smells weed, so he has probable cause to go in and search the house for weed. In my perfect land that I'm making my website about, I think it's complicated. I just heard about a situation the other day where there was this car wreck, and the person that caused the wreck was driving on the wrong side of the road and just went 40 miles an hour head to head with another car, and the only thing they could really find out was that the person on the wrong side of the road was had been smoking pot, and so the other person died, the one that was smoking, driving on the wrong side of the road, just got a couple scratches. Obviously, I need to look into it further to find out details on how marijuana affects the brain exactly, but it seems like it impairs judgment a bit. That maybe not. I don't even know if it's judgment, but it might be like reaction time and stuff like that. To the point where I think that it probably should be illegal to smoke and drive. I don't know how they check out the details. So like when you drink and drive, if you're over 0.08, then it's illegal. It's drinking and driving. And I don't know if you can test something like that with marijuana. But as far as in a house, I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be illegal to smoke in a house. I don't know if there's elements of the idea of children being around and that kind of thing that would affect me. But as of now, I'm going to say that smoking in a house should be fine, and therefore, and possession in a house and whatever, that I wouldn't think officers should be able to go in a house based on that, personally. MCR says people with ADHD and smoke it, acts like Adderall, makes you more focused. It's complicated because everyone reacts differently. Excellent point. Yeah. That's a good point. If somebody takes certain medications that makes them more focused, then that would be good to have while driving. And if somebody else took those exact same medications, that might affect their driving. So I don't know exactly how to put a law on something like that. But in certain cases, it might have to go with averages. If 1 out of 1,000 people drive well on meth, then and the rest don't, then I think you just have to outlaw driving on meth. And so same would go for a handful of different things, but then there would be other drugs that would be fine. And so, it's interesting for sure. I'm just going to make a note of weed here and see what I add later. Yeah.
No, if you're gonna do it now.
Yeah, they said they smell.
Y'all don't smell no weed, so y'all can
Stay
get
out here.
Stay out.
Stay
I don't
out.
smell weed. My brother
Stay
don't
out.
smoke weed. So
Stay
did y'all
out.
check the neighbor's house if y'all smell weed?
Stay out.
No, sir. Y'all don't have the right to do that. There is no scent of weed in this house. Do y'all want to come and smell? Do y'all want to come and
We're
smell?
recording right now.
Does someone else want to come and smell? My brother don't smoke weed, so it don't smell like weed in here.
Stay out.
Get out of my brother's house before I call a motherfucking lawyer. Sir, don't grab
Put your
me.
hands behind your back.
Okay, that's fine. They don't have the right to do this. Smell Mario's house. It don't smell like weed in there. No,
Stay out of the house.
Justin, just go get
Go
in
back in the car.
Justin,
Get
go
back
get
in the
car.
car.
I'm gonna get
Now.
right back out.
Yeah, I'm so torn. Like in this case, it seems like this kid obviously did this thing. In his sister's case, people are gonna defend their family. They're gonna be upset and worried and try to figure stuff out. So I see where she's coming from, although it's she's being outrageous. Considering what the laws are in this situation, yes, I think she should be handcuffed right now because she's acting the way she is. I don't know to what exact level. It definitely has to be a range. But if you don't listen to police commands, then it's no good. So this is tricky because in my perfect world, it wouldn't be the problem to have the weed in the house. And even in the cases where it would be, the idea of probable cause coming from the smelling of something, like a personal, subjective, individual opinion of what they're smelling. Gosh, that's tricky. That's tricky, like what you can claim you hear. Because, yeah, if you hear like somebody screaming and you think somebody's being hurt, or you're hearing screaming from somebody that was abducted or something, then it makes sense to go in. But if because you can do that, you can just claim, oh, I heard a scream, and nobody can prove otherwise. I guess something like that, you would have the recording, like we have this audio from the police body cam footage, and then it would be shown that they were lying. Which would be complicated, because if they went in and actually found a person that was being hidden, but their mouth was taped, and so they didn't scream, but then there was a good outcome, then it makes you wonder, like, should we be glad that person did this thing even though it was illegal? Which is complicated, and I don't even know where to go with that. But as far as what should be legal or not legal, yeah, I would say in general, you just have to listen to any officer's command. And if they say that you need to step back and that you're interfering, and then you don't step back and you keep interfering, I'd say you got to go in cuffs. Okay, MCR says the weed thing is a cover so they can search for the bag. If the guy would have let them look for the bag alone, the cops wouldn't care about the drugs, probably. It's just annoying they have to search to validate the bag is or isn't there. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's really important that we have our protections, and even though in some cases it helps the bad guy, I think it's still good to have. And so I get it that they don't care about the weed thing and that they're just using it as an excuse. But I think we should just have a good system for how quick you can get a warrant. I don't know exactly how warrants work. Something to the effect of an officer feels that it would be best to search a certain area or to arrest somebody, and they have to take that written information to a judge, and a judge signs off on it. I think it can happen really quick. I think they can radio in, have an officer take something to a judge. I'm not sure if it can be done through email or if you actually have to go down to a courthouse, but I would guess you can actually do it in like 5-10 minutes. I'm not sure. Dispatch can get approval within 10 minutes. Yeah, exactly. And so I don't think this weed approach was good, but it seems like the thing's probably in the house, and so it's. I think even if the thing shows that it's in one of the nearest 3 houses to where they're at, it's reasonable to do a search in there, I think. But yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna ponder that some more.
But that's so weird. They just doing this so they can go search this fucking house. Y'all don't have the right to search this house.
Have a seat.
I will.
Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can do whatever you want.
What? Getting 2 ads.
Y'all don't gotta grab me up like that. Y'all do not have the right, Mario. Tell them that they don't have the right.
Back to the car.
Right now, we're securing the house.
Tell them right now. Just don't be mad. Just tell them.
I have the right to go in my house. We are
Without a
securing the
search
house.
warrant. Tell them that, Mario. Tell them that. Tell them they do not have the right to go into your house without a search warrant. Mario, if they had the right, they would already be searching
we
it.
cannot let you back in the house right now.
That's fine, Mario, but tell them. Mario,
He said it.
listen. Shut up and listen, boy.
He didn't say search.
Shut up.
No, it's not a search.
Tell them they do not have the right to search the house without a search warrant. And they need to wait.
We are not searching the house.
Well, you guys were just in there without his permission after we told you not to be in there. Stop breaking my laws, and this will be a lot simpler. If y'all leave, this will be solved way simpler without y'all here. Y'all searching shit y'all ain't got no reason to be searching.
Check the bathroom right quick.
Exactly.
That's what we're trying to do. But right now, go check the bathroom right
Y'all
quick.
sitting there trying to take advantage of somebody that don't even know how to get to point A.
Right now, we're waiting on another officer because things are kicking off way too much, man.
You not know what y'all really is talking about.
Y'all doing too much.
Y'all know.
Mario, just sit down. Sit down. Because I'm not trying to get them to think that you and Justin is on handcuffs because I told them their job. These motherfuckers know the law. They know better. I shouldn't have to tell them that. And then they put me in handcuffs because I told them right from motherfucking wrong. Like, I shouldn't even have to say that to y'all.
Listen, you got it.
Is y'all body cameras on?
Listen, no, what they said was
That's all I really need to know right now.
sweep to make sure ain't no humans in this
Mario, we don't even gotta say nothing else. As long as you know, step out of Mario. Tell me to step out of your house.
Go look at no, I'm watching. Go look at my
Mario, they don't have the right.
Can you put her in your
Mario,
Yep.
Mario, because you see they try to take me to jail because they Mario, they can't get into your house. The only reason they're in there is because you told them to go in the bathroom. I swear to God, Mario, if you tell them to get out of the house, they can't.
After a brief search of the home, an officer discovered the stolen backpack in the bathroom.
Go in there. They're taking me to jail.
Stop resisting. Stop. Stop.
That's in the bathroom. Okay.
So what's in the bathroom?
He's trying to stop me.
Resisting. Stay back. I'm just recording. Stay back. I'm about to get back. Spread your feet.
I'm just yelling, dude. I'm just yelling.
I'm just up here.
If you're going to interfere with an investigation, you are
I'm not
going to
interfering.
identify
That's
yourself.
the thing. I'm just
Yes, you
recording.
are. You're
I'm
detracting
recording.
from our ability to conduct this
No,
investigation.
he has mental problems. I'm trying to let y'all know.
Now is the time where you're under arrest. You're gonna get searched.
That's fine, but under arrest
Stay.
for
Stop
one.
moving.
Sir, 1, 2, 3. What am I under arrest
Stop
for?
moving.
Are you gonna tell
Right
me?
now is resisting. That's what you're under
I'm
arrest
not
for.
because I'm not moving. I'm just talking. So I'm just asking you, what am
I asked you to come over to the
what
car.
am I being arrested for? Why am I in handcuffs? Any one of y'all gonna tell me that?
Protect y'all motherfucking city. That's it, man. I'm finna get in the car, bro. Please leave me alone, bro. Real fucking talk. Get away from me, bro. Why did you get by me?
What's going on here?
In case anybody doesn't know why they're bothering him, why they're telling him he needs to step back, a lot of people don't think about all the elements of possibility. They just think of likelihoods and what an outcome will be. That guy's probably perfectly fine. That's just the boyfriend of that lady, and he's a little worried, so he's filming. But in some cases, somebody could have a gun, somebody could... So if a cop's trying to put somebody in a car and then behind him is somebody that could easily want to shoot him or stab him or whatever, to be able to focus on the person you're trying to get in the car, you got to get that other person to get out of the way. Now, I don't know to what level, if somebody's 20 feet across the street and they're filming because they want to film, that's probably good. In fact, police body cams and then also cell phone footage and that kind of stuff, I think, and cameras that are just on streets capturing anything in public, I think is some of the best things we can have. It's good to have everything caught on film, but officers also shouldn't have to take unnecessary risks. And so if somebody is making you worried, then you need to have the ability to have some kind of limitations you can put on the person that's making you worried. So, and I don't know if there's a certain distance, like that guy having him get in his car, if he backed up a little more, if he was 10 feet away, 20 feet away, I don't know the exact amount. But again, it's another case where there would be a detail of what you're allowed to tell somebody that's kind of interfering, and a detail of what that interfering would be, and whatever the law is on that, you just have to listen. So, yeah.
They're having a hard time since I came up here.
Get you searched
Can I
in the
talk
back
real
of the
quick?
car, then we'll talk.
All right,
to you.
that's fine. But listen,
You know how it is for me to talk to you, you're yelling over
it's
me?
hard to talk when no one's letting me speak.
Because now isn't the time to talk.
No,
Now is the time
no,
to
I'm
be
not.
quiet.
What the f? I have the right to talk.
Sit down, please.
Y'all put me in handcuffs because y'all don't want me telling my brother that y'all don't have the right to go into his house without a search warrant. But what am I being arrested for? What am I being resisting? Why am I in a handcuff? Why am I in handcuffs?
Because you're not listening.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So yeah. I'm trying to figure out if was initially just being detained. I think the difference between arrested and detained is, well, let's look it up. We're going to find out. Difference between arrested and detained. Okay. In legal terms, there are significant differences between being convicted and detained. Okay. Common law dictates that investigatory detention refers to holding someone while a suspicious situation is being checked on. When the detention continues beyond a specific time limit, it can be considered an arrest. Whereas in comparison, an arrest is usually made under the statutory authority found in Title 18 of the United States Code and its supplemental terms, in which an individual may be held for a prolonged time, longer than detention, be transported to the police station or another location, subject to the right to the state-provided attorney, and face a bail hearing. Okay. Time. Let's see the code. Okay, I'll make a note of that for this project as well. But yeah, so I don't know if she was being initially just detained, where they were saying she's interfering here, and she won't listen, so we're going to put handcuffs on you, put you in the car, and then when we're done with this, we'll let you out. But then as they were taking her over and she was resisting, now she's arrested for resisting. Or if the initial interfering is considered resisting because you're told to go. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I would say maybe either is acceptable to arrest. But I want to ponder it more. Let's see. Detain means held while investigation. Yep. I just figured it out. You're too late. Arrested means charged. Yep, that's right. You seem to know a lot about this. That's really cool. I know because I've dealt with cops. Gotcha. Okay, here we go.
I don't have to listen to y'all.
Yes, you do.
Woman, I can yell if I want to. Y'all weren't listening when my brother said not to go in this house for a. I don't even know.
We're writing a search warrant.
My brother told y'all not to go in his house.
We have a right to freeze the scene. We're not searching.
That's fine.
So we're writing a search warrant.
Y'all gotta tell me what I'm in handcuffs for.
You're in handcuffs.
That's interesting. Freeze the scene. Okay, so hypothetically, there could be another person in the house that is disposing of the bag. And so they want to go in, not search, make sure there's no people. And then if there's no people, the scene is frozen because they're not letting the guy back in his house. And now they know there's no other people in the house. That's interesting. Yeah, and I think it said they found the backpack in the bathroom when they went in there to freeze the scene because the kid actually said, I don't know if he's a kid, but he said to look in the bathroom. I'm guessing something to do with whatever led him to it. I think he wanted it to be found because he said look in the bathroom, which is so strange. But anyways, that part doesn't matter. I'm trying to figure out if I think it should be also accepted to freeze the scene. So we got the trash situation, got the weed situation, and then I'm going to make a note about freezing the scene. It makes sense for safety. If somebody was in there and they were going to hide and like shoot a police officer, the more time they have to plan that kind of thing out, it's no good. So if you have an area that you're likely going to, I don't know if the likelihood of getting the warrant would affect the freezing the scene. Yeah, gosh. Okay, complicated. I'm going to hit play.
Cuffs because you're not listening and you're arrested for resisting.
All right, and Phil is here, so I'm going to send him a link because he's going to hop on here. Hop on whenever you want, Phil. I'm going to hit play on this until you show up.
It'll be fine.
I drive by and these motherfuckers searching my brother's garbage can. I pull in. Why y'all searching my brother's garbage can? I asked that at least 4 times. Neither one of the officers wanted to respond to me.
He had a bag stolen from his car last night. Had an air tag in it. Air tag places it somewhere between these 2 houses.
So then I get to asking my brother what's going on. Then I start asking the other people who called the police what's going on. They get to telling me what's going on. Now he wants to butt in and tell me.
Oh, Phil, by the way, I'll be on here for another 35 minutes. So if you are able to hop on when you get home, that's great, even if it's only for like 10 minutes or so. But if not, no worries at all.
What's going on? Hello, y'all don't have the right to search my car. Okay. You do not have the right to search.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good. Okay, I'm trying to think. Let's say, yes, you. Oh, hello. You were telling me a couple things. Abortion. That's what it was.
Yeah, there were three. There were three. If you were king, rules.
Mm-hmm.
And mine was that the main thing when it comes to abortion is that at the point of some sort of sentience is what would matter most to me. You know, so a ban on all abortions, including like the morning after pill or something like that, is not something I would want. But there was also the other one was more interesting, wasn't it? It was touching. Yeah. What would it? There, for the second offense of touching someone without their consent, there would be jail time. And I was thinking that seems like a little extreme, you know. It depends on a lot of other circumstances surrounding the touching.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, shoulder tapping. Okay, yeah, so one note I did change here about the shoulder touching was somebody pointed out that self-defense would be a situation where you could touch somebody that's unwanted touch. Like if I go to punch you and you know I don't want to be touched, but you defend yourself to stop me from punching you.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore you're touching me, then in self-defense, it's fine to touch somebody unwanted.
Yeah.
But so what
that almost seems like so obvious that it's a detail. Like that would be like when you're writing the law, someone's trying to find a loophole. But you touched me even though I was attacking you. You know.
Yeah. And I don't know how detailed statutes usually get. They seem to be insanely detailed, but maybe not in that sense. But yeah, I don't know. They probably do cover their bases in weird ways. Kind of like commercials for like medications will say, don't take this if you're allergic to it. So who knows with law stuff, because that's the thing, if they don't have it written perfectly detailed, then that's when they are able to, they find the loophole and their lawyer gets them off or whatever. But anyways, so now that I've added the self-defense element in, okay, so you, if I go and I tap you on your shoulder and you say, I know you didn't know I don't want that, but I do not want you to touch me again. And then I start touching your shoulder again. And that's caught on camera. What are your thoughts on how many touches and the details, how that would affect it?
Well, I suppose it would depend on how things are moving forward. Like, let's say, it's normal in our society, at least when I was growing up, maybe not so much now, but that you're supposed to be able to touch a stranger, right? You're supposed to be able to touch a random stranger on the shoulder just to say, oh, hello, you know, or in the middle of a conversation, you know, you just touch the shoulder. Like being touchy is just a part of having a conversation sometimes. Mm-hmm. So if I'm talking to you and we're having a conversation and I touch your shoulder and you say, don't do that again. Like my reaction is, oh, I'm sorry. You know, wasn't sure how to say it, but let's say I had, maybe more of a socially awkward or, a personality where I'm overly sensitive and I feel like, oh, well, I'll just touch your shoulder more, like a defiant personality. You know, I don't think that rises to the level of jail time. Right. So if I keep touching you, you need to then it rises to the level of an argument at some point where you have to, I think it's appropriate to say something to me like, well, look, I don't have shouldn't be necessary for me to divulge to you why I'm so uncomfortable about you touching my shoulder. It just makes me really uncomfortable. And that should be the end of it. You know, and that would happen after the second or third shoulder touch, right? Where under your system, we'd already send someone to jail, and we'd take away the chance for a mere argument to de-escalate the situation. You know?
Yeah. Would you think it would be? Well, I was going to say more reasonable. Obviously, it's going to be more reasonable. Do you think it would be reasonable to say after 5 separate touches, or even let's just say 10, if somebody is told 10 different times and backed off from?
I don't think there is a number so much as like what is unfolding in this confrontation that is causing someone to be very defiant and continue to touch your shoulder, and at what sort of tools are you using to express that this is a more and more increasingly serious problem that eventually rises to the level of harassment, you know? That's because that's the way I see it, is it should be illegal to not to tease someone, right? But harass is just a term we use that when something gets really serious. Like, that's why we have terms like fighting words. You know, I think I don't even know if a jury should be involved, but a reasonable judge would say this is like harassing behavior. At some point, you know, once you've already made the person angry and you're repeatedly violating their personal space, and here's a big one. If you, as the person whose shoulder is being touched, make an effort to move yourself away from them, and then they follow you and you keep moving away and tell them you're trying to get away from them, now we have more of a serious problem. You know,
that was going to be my next question. If the moving away part, yeah, and I completely agree. I think I will adjust it. I keep adjusting little bits as I go. And I think something like what we have in place about like restraining orders might be a good approach, because if somebody truly doesn't want to be touched and they are being touched and they're not being left alone, I would say, yeah, if they move, if they leave the situation in some form, I don't know the best way to write that, and then they are followed. How would you view that? What if we viewed that separate from the touching? What if somebody is sitting somewhere, they're at a table, there's a bunch of friends, and but one of them doesn't like another person, and they just don't want to be near that person, and they say, I can't be near so-and-so, I'm going to leave. They stand up and they walk to another side of the bar, and then that person they don't want to be near them walks over to them, and then they say, leave me alone, I don't want you near me. And all this is caught on camera. They go outside, the person follows them outside.
Well, this is not sorry.
Yeah. I was just going to say, at what point does it become illegal from what we can see on a camera?
If so there's no sort of touching involved here. So for me, and this goes, you know, sort of into what I do for a living. You know, it's my job to follow people, you know. So it's like, what you have to do is, if you have an expectation of privacy, or you move into a private space where you have the right to tell someone not to follow you, and if they keep, you know, at that point trespassing, then it's the law should be involved, right? But if you remain in a public space and you're just annoyed that this other person for some reason wants to be around you, I don't know if it's because they're following you, because they want to annoy you, because they're mentally ill, you know, whatever it is, that you have to move to a private space if you want the law to enforce your level of comfort there. Which is unfortunate, right? And here's the thing, let's say every time you leave your house, this person follows you. Right now, it's a problem that we have to solve, because you have to be able to like go about your day without being followed all the time. You know?
Yeah, like what would it take? Somebody's asking if you're a bounty hunter.
No, I'm an
or
investigator.
A PI. Oh, okay.
I'm an investigator. I'm
okay.
a PI.
Is that similar to a private investigator, or like investigator private? Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually do want to talk about that further, but real quick on this. Okay, so it could be interesting because, yeah, if somebody follows somebody from their house, that's an interesting situation. But if somebody just is, say, downtown in a certain city, and every time they see this person, they just follow behind them 2 feet, and they're just following them around, and maybe they're saying annoying things, or even like racial slurs or something, but they're constantly following them, and they won't leave when they're told to leave. What elements would make it reasonable to get a restraining order? And then once that's figured out, if somebody gets a restraining order against somebody, but both those people want to go to like a certain bar or something, and would there be any limitations on, is it just whoever gets there first is there? And if the bar is a size where there's nowhere else to be in there, that is the 50 feet away you have to be from the restraining order, that it's just whoever gets there first has dibs on being there?
Well, I would say that, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure the legal system has already worked out a solution for this. I don't know exactly what it would be. I want to clarify. So this is a person who's not just obsessed with like following people around, but specifically you, right? They're targeting you, and they want to follow you around multiple days.
It's caught on camera, and multiple days they follow a specific person around. They might do like 10 specific people, but one of the people caught them on camera and shows that to the authorities that they want to agree to a restraining order. What details should have to happen to go, okay, the threshold has been reached for you getting a restraining order?
Okay. Oh, wait. So we're not talking about the bar situation. We're talking about what threshold has to be reached before you can get a restraining order?
Yeah, it was kind of both. I don't know why I threw that extra one in there, but once the restraining order is received, then I was thinking of a tough situation where if the person you get the restraining order against, if that person goes to a place you want to be at and is just always there, are you not allowed to go there anymore because you would be going up to them? And I think the restraining order must work both ways. So you can save that question for Never if you want.
Yeah, it seems like it's the sort of situation where if the person who is restrained by the restraining order, right, the crazy person, if they're always at that place first, then you should really know better than to go there. But I suppose you could pretend that you didn't notice them. If you really want to be there, you pretend that you didn't notice them. Whereas, like, if you're there first all the time and they go there, then that's probably a violation of the restraining order.
Yeah. Okay, so then to the first part, what would need to take place, in your opinion, to make a restraining order be reasonable to get? Or do you think anybody should just be able to get a restraining order against anybody just because they want it?
Well, in my opinion, what you would want is any sort of court proceeding in which you would use some sort of expert in psychology or something who would say that, yeah, their behavior at this point is either, causing stress for the victim of this stalking or indicative of them being a possible danger to this person. And you would just need this expert in court to say, yes, a restraining order is appropriate, because there's lots of different circumstances that could be changed. So we wouldn't want like they've seen you, they've followed you 3 days in a row. If we have an exact rule, then we're taking our intelligence out of the situation. And it's better just to rely on an expert, or moving forward, relying on an AI application that's specifically calibrated to come up with a solution for that, So either way.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. I'm going to make some notes on that. Or I made some notes. I'm going to make some changes on that after we chat. Yeah, I think that kind of covers the shoulder tapping thing, and I just need to ponder it further to figure out the adjustments. Let's talk about the abortion element real quick.
Okay.
Okay. I think I'll just tell you my position real quick, and then because I don't have a firm stance on it. As far as my personal carrying of a being, it's based on sentience. So when that fetus can feel pain, at that point, I think I view it the same way I just view anything that's sentient, that it's best to not cause pain. And so in that sense, that's kind of where I view like actual caring, like personal feelings. But as far as how I view how a society should work, where all humans are protected and we are very specific with how our laws work and such, I just have this idea that I think it might be best that if we say no one can kill a living human, and that would include the government. So it just applies all around. So because once we consider a human alive and it's an individual human, something tells me that that could be the best approach, because I'm worried about the arbitrary line. So a lot of things have arbitrary lines where it's not a big deal. So an arbitrary, like saying an adult is 18 or 17 or 19, that's not a huge deal. That's just making somebody have to wait longer to get certain privileges and responsibilities and whatnot. And arbitrary lines of like legal age for consent and all these different things. I think it's different when your arbitrary line says, on average, this is where sentience arrives, and therefore that's when you cannot end the entire life. So anyways, that's some thoughts I have.
Yeah. There's an element of arbitrage, even if you try to choose, the least arbitrary line. And I sense that it makes sense what you're doing, because if you simply say that, okay, we've had, Mike knows the technical term for this, but we've had genetic recombination so that we have a unique genome for this individual. That means it's a human being, right? And doing anything to this individual organism is now killing a human, even if it's a bundle of cells, a zygote or something. I can see how that avoids being arbitrary with where we put the line. That's why, the heartbeat bill, like why the heartbeat, right? The heartbeat doesn't mean you're alive or dead. You're alive before you have a heartbeat. But yeah, I can see the need for that. The thing is, it's not worth it to me if we're not putting the line at what we really care about in avoiding harm, and that is, it's very difficult to justify banning abortion prior to any sort of brain activity on the part of the fetus, to me. Gotcha. And, there's a kind of sacredness of life argument that I could see, and a soul, an argument of the baby having a soul. But in terms of trying to make a secular, impartial argument, we're doing more harm toward restricting the mother's rights than we are saving a fetus from harm if we are banning abortion prior to a phase in which the fetus can be harmed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. So one quick question I have that almost doesn't matter, but it's an interesting thought experiment, would be, let's say you go 100 years ago, and we don't have the techniques to know how long somebody's been pregnant, and somebody says they've only been pregnant for like 3 weeks, but really they've been pregnant for like 4 or 5 months, because sometimes it takes people a while to show. Would you feel would be the best way to approach the law and abortion in that case, where if we didn't have technology?
In that case, the best guess we would be using, and this would be a case where it was probably a good idea to use the precautionary principle, because it would have avoided this circumstance. And that is, we'd say, okay, like in Islam, for example, it's the quickening, right? The baby's first kick. That is when they say, okay, now this baby's alive. Now this baby has a soul. and it has it's a human being. And then later on, 100 years ago, we would probably use a stethoscope, or however the frig you say it, and try to listen for the baby's heartbeat. Probably before, I don't know how sensitive they were to be able to pick them up, but that would make sense of, actually, well before the first kick, we can hear this heartbeat, so that's when the baby's there. And now with modern technology, we can tell there's some sort of brain activity much prior to the heartbeat. And we can say, okay, this is when the baby, and this is sort of the advantage of the precautionary principle, right? So if Islam had used the precautionary principle, they would realize, the heartbeat happens way before the kick. And then if 100 years ago, perhaps when we could hear a heartbeat, they would say, if we had used the precautionary principle, we'd realize actually the brain activity happens before the heartbeat.
Gotcha.
So
okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Gotcha. Okay. And so basically you just say follow the science. If science adjusts of on average sentience begins here, here's the range of it, and therefore maybe a precautionary principle of 3 days before the on average or something like that. But if scientifically they find like, it's actually a week later than we thought or a week earlier, you would just follow the sentient science.
Yes, that's
Gotcha.
and there's a part of me who just says maybe it's a better idea to ban the whole thing because of sacredness of life, but I feel like I have to have a more secular, reasonable argument.
Yeah. It's kind of complicated because like I think I view my reason as a selfish one, but I view almost everything I view as a selfish reason. The reason I want to have a society that I'm in value life and not have death penalty and not have abortion is because the more wiggle room you have of not valuing protecting life, the more likely I am to die. And so that's why I have that value.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is kind of, we are talking about like a reasonable solution, but the conversation around abortion in the larger society is pretty psychotic and anti-human, where you have a baby who's not too far from being born, and a large chunk of the population, not a majority by any means, but an unreasonably large fraction of the population thinks, you can just kill that baby because it's inside you. It's a parasite. It's an illegal passenger, this thing that you decided to bring into existence.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's crazy. And this is like this literal dehumanization where they're saying it's a parasite. This is exactly what allows these sorts of like inhuman crimes to take place, where you decide that this category of person can just be terminated, and I won't bring up the most cliche example of that, but it's the most appropriate example, from history, where we have we have a Holocaust going on when it comes to, we have millions of babies who have been killed, and after sentience,
Yeah. And that's why I think it comes down to what people value. And that's why I want to know, like, whenever I talk to people about the topic, which most people that are pro-abortion don't like talking about the topic, but figuring out what people value. And I really think one of the main angles this topic comes down to is neglect. And I don't think it's usually talked about in that sense. I think the biggest argument for any case against abortion would be neglect. If you have somebody that like just had a baby and they're at home with their baby and they're not going to do anything necessarily wrong to the baby, but we find it reasonable that if they just lay that baby down on a bed and never feed it and it dies in a couple days, then they did this wrong thing. Even though they don't want it, they don't want to use their body to feed it, they don't want to feed it a bottle, they don't want to hop in a car and drive it down to donate it to McDonald's or whoever collects babies. And so they neglected it to death, even though it made them like they felt fine with it. And so the same thing would happen where if you have that baby inside of you, it's just this idea that if you're just saying, I don't want it there, I want to remove it. Yeah. Anyways, I'll stop rambling because I think we agree on the majority of the topic of abortion, but I feel like when people don't agree, the best comparison is just neglect. But yeah.
I'm not sure where to. I'm sorry. I find myself at a loss for words. I'm not sure what you mean.
Oh, what I mean? Yeah, let me try to explain a little further because you might find it interesting to use when talking to others about it. But like, so if you choose to remove the baby from you, if the fetus that's in you, let's say it's a week before you're going to give birth. 'Cause some people say if it's in you, you have the right to do whatever you want with it. If you choose that you want this thing gone, the idea is that you should be able to do whatever you want for yourself. You have this thing gone. But we also have this idea of neglect, where something that you're responsible for, you can't be the cause of its death, and so you're kind of responsible for this thing. And anyways, I don't know if there's exactly anywhere the conversation could go, and I don't know if my mind's just blanking on thinking of the best examples for it. But yeah, I guess like it's you've probably heard it used before, and I've probably used it before, where if somebody is in a house and they have a brand new baby and they have their breast milk and the baby's there and the baby's hungry, and then there's an avalanche and the house is covered in snow for 9 months, and people aren't going to be able to get there to get you out for 9 months. Are you obligated to give it milk from your body to feed this baby? You have all the food in the world you can eat, but the baby can't eat any of that, whatever type of food is there. And you have to use your body to help this baby, because if you don't use it, then it's going to die of neglect. And then so I think the same thing would happen for the baby being inside your body. You have this time where this baby that's relying on you, where you can keep it alive, and if you choose to remove it, then does that make sense?
I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that anytime you build a moral structure around the idea that you can invent moralistic phrases that allow you to do anything other than take care of this being that's relying on you, then you're an absolute psychopath, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no, it's not like, oh, well, I shouldn't have to use my body to, like, that is just, it's, you ever play Dungeons and Dragons?
I'm familiar with it. Haven't played it.
Okay. Well, there's the two most evil creatures in the game are separate beings, demons and devils, right? So the demons are chaotic evil and will betray you at any point and just revel in blood or whatever. But the devils, you make agreements with them and contracts, and they're willing to adhere to the letter of the law, but for the most fiendish of motives, And the idea that you could just invent some phrases that are pseudo-moralistic that would allow you to do anything other than what it takes to nourish this baby is devil-like, right? It's a good use for the term evil. And in fact, even the idea that there is some sort of moral framework that would allow for you to have the right, if you want to call it that, to not take care of that being, the premise itself is a source of evil, right? So the answer is no, you do what it takes to lead to a better result for everyone, including that baby.
Yeah, definitely. And in some cases, there will be limitations to that, like how much of your life do you sacrifice for various different things. Like if you just saw a person drowning every week, and like how or every 10 minutes, like how many people can you pull out of the river before you go like my entire life will be wasted. But when you especially when you pinpoint it down to a case of like a pregnancy, one thing that's kind of interesting is looking at the moral angle you just said, but through the story that usually gets brought up by pro-abortion people about the violinist. If you woke up and somebody attached a violinist to you, should you have the right to remove it? If that violinist that's attached to you has to stay attached to you for 9 months, and then after that you can unattach it and you'll go on with your life and they'll go on with their life, I think morally you should definitely be willing to sacrifice 9 months of your life to save this random stranger that got attached to you.
Yeah, if you're not a totally evil psychopath, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep. Okay, well, I made a note because I think I even before talking to you about it, but definitely more so now talking to you about it, I think I was going to add the element of the sentience and like maybe the 8-week cutoff, where I will probably always have a note that says I'm unsure, but that in my society I will allow it at that point. And but with the note saying that I'm unsure. But real quick, because
can I jump in there real quick?
Yeah,
I just want to say, not only that, but I think if we have that 8-week window and we want to make sure that abortions don't happen illegally after that window, then we should do everything to make that 8-week window convenient and easy and low cost or even free. You know what I'm saying? That way it reduces the harm that could be done in the future if they wait.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair point. Okay, and then so I got a couple rapid fire questions for you. Not exactly rapid fire, but in between rapid fire and normal conversation. I just watched a police interaction video and I took some notes, and I'm going to be adding these things on here, but they're very complicated. And so for one, what are your thoughts on when it comes to searches and seizures? If you own a trash can's outside your house, police officers there, they don't have a warrant yet, but they might have probable cause, or let's say maybe no probable cause. Maybe there's probable cause. Anyways, that part doesn't matter. They don't have a warrant. They can't go in your house yet. Can they look in your garbage can, and can they take anything out of your garbage can?
I would say it's an easy yes. They can do all of that if you have the trash can where it's accessible to be taken away by the trash collectors.
Okay, what if it's just by your house?
If it's just by your house, then that's kind of an edge case. Maybe if it's at a spot in the house in which normally you would reasonably expect people to come up to anyway, let's say to knock on your door, to knock on your side door near your garage, anything like that, then maybe. But that might actually be fruit of a poison tree because you intend to go up there to trespass to collect evidence when you don't have a warrant. So yeah. It's kind of an edge case. I'm not sure where I would fall on that. I would want to hear more about it, but as I hear myself talking about it, I think that's fruit of the poison tree.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. The thing I said earlier when I had talked about it was somebody could store stuff in their garbage can, and then on garbage day every week, they take the thing they're storing out of there, and then they put their garbage in there and put it at the curb. Somebody could design something that looks identical to a garbage can, but isn't. That's their lawn art, and they store whatever they want in there. I think of it as property that we should have our rights to not have illegal searches. But an honest doubter put a comment in here when I was talking about it earlier, and he said in 1988, in a case referred to as California versus Greenwood, the Supreme Court ruled that an individual held no reasonable expectation of privacy in their trash. Thus, the Fourth Amendment does not prevent law enforcement officers from searching and seizing an individual's garbage. And I don't think I agree with that Supreme Court choice. I don't think the founding fathers intended on not viewing that as private property.
Well, the wording, if the wording is exactly written as you said, then it could be that's correct, but any object they own, including their trash, pulled up against their own property, not put out for garbage disposal, right?
Yes.
Is still
For
protected.
the garbage out, you're putting in public. Because
Yeah.
if it's still on your private property, it probably just shouldn't be when you're putting it out. And I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, so I think that that case, you know, from what we read, that could go either way because that actually depends on where the trash is. So that is what I'm saying is that's compatible with what both you and I are saying, because there's nothing about trash that gives you an expectation of privacy, right?
Yeah.
But any object you have, like my trash in my home, do I have an expectation of privacy for all of the objects in my home? Yes, including my trash. But there's nothing about your trash that grants it the expectation of privacy.
Yeah. Well, once you declare it trash, you declare that you are giving this away. It's not yours anymore. I definitely agree. It's just complicated because when you point out in your house, like if you put something in your garbage that you want to take out later, I think you still own that. You should be able to take it out later. It's still your property. And
I agree, but try this thought experiment. This is what I'm saying. Picture where you put the garbage, right, out by the curb. Right now, imagine you put any other object you own out there that would not reasonably be interpreted as a part of the trash, such as your vehicle or anything on wheels like that you have near the curb, right? The trash grants you no expectation of privacy, but what does is that it's well into your property.
Yeah,
so I
100%.
don't disagree with the court ruling as it was read, at least.
Gotcha. No, and I agree. As it was read, especially if that is linking to the idea of it being put in public, like put out to be picked up, I do. I'm just torn on the idea of if I own my yard and like my grass, I own that. I can put kid toys there that if they're taken, they're stolen. That if I put my trash can in my house or in my yard, I want them both viewed as the same. And so it only becomes different when it's set out there. So, but yeah, I think I agree with you. And I was torn anyways on this case. So yeah. Okay, the next one. This one's tricky because in a sense it doesn't matter with my final thought, but the officers knocked on the door, guy opens the door. They want to search the house to find a backpack that they think was stolen and taken there, but they can't do it until they have the warrant. But they say they smell weed, and they're gonna go in because they have probable cause because they smell weed. Now, I think even though it should be illegal to maybe smoke and drive, I don't think it should be illegal to have possession of weed, have it in your house, smoke it in your house. So I think that that shouldn't even be the case to go in there. But assuming that in my world and in your world that it should be illegal to smoke weed, or we can just say hypothetical, it's a different type of drug that you can smell the smoke of. Do you think it's reasonable to have an officer be able to claim something like smelling something be why they go in somewhere without a warrant?
It would have to rise to the point that it's a serious safety issue, right? So like if they think they smell a dead body, maybe then. But I've seen actually a case where the officers smelled a dead body, or they smelled something that could be a dead body, but you never know. It could be just like, people have rotting rats in their homes. Police see all kinds of things. So, and that did not grant them probable cause to search the place. But yeah, I do not think that smelling a drug would grant you. I don't see why that would be the case. No, I don't. I don't see any good reason for doing that.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. It just seems like an excuse to search, and I've seen it happen with police pulling over people in traffic stops, and they might want to search the vehicle. They say they smell pot, so now they have probable cause. And I don't think a smell is good. I think something that you can prove, because I compared it to the idea of an officer assuming that there is somebody, say, kidnapped in a house, and then they claim they heard a scream, and then they go in. We can listen back to the audio from their police camera footage, and we can go, there's no scream. He just claimed that he was lying. That should be illegal. And it's complicated because if he goes in and finds a kidnapped person with their mouth taped shut, so we know they weren't screaming, it's awesome that he saved that person, but then it becomes complicated of if he should have been able to break that law. And so I think in cases of an officer making a claim, the claim has to be provable, and I don't think a smell can be provable. But if you hear a thing, then I think that's reasonable if that's able to be proven. Especially with our modern technology, when we have different things like we can record the audio of everything a police officer does. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
The last one was freezing the scene. Are you familiar with this?
Is that where you prevent any evidence from being tampered with?
Yeah, and so they knocked on this guy's door. He came out. They're looking for a backpack. They're waiting for their warrant to be able to search. But even though they can't search, they're saying they're going in the property to make sure there's no other humans, and then they'll come out and wait for the warrant. And the only thing I can imagine is if this kid stole a backpack and his friends are in there and they're trying to dispose of that evidence, that gives reason to go in. So do you think that is reasonable, that in any case that an officer thinks there is a concern and they want to get a warrant, until that warrant shows up, should they be able to go in any of that private property and look around for humans?
I did. Oh man, no. I mean, you don't. If you don't have a warrant, you don't have a warrant. You know. I would think that, maybe we'd be able to work out a really specific circumstance, but it'd be risky for the police department because we should still keep in place the principle of the fruit of the poison tree. So you better hope you don't find anything when you're freezing the scene, because it seems to me that if you do not have a warrant and you go in there just to try to make sure that there's no one tampering with the scene, I don't know. I mean, that seems, I could be convinced otherwise, but I don't like that. And I would say that's a no-go.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I think we're on the same page with all three of those, actually. I'm on the fence with all three of the trash, the weed, and the freezing the scene, and I'm leaning towards the no-go in those as well. So, yes. Well, let's do one last thing if you got the time for it.
Sure.
And then after that, I'm going to adjust my website a little bit and then close out of here. But do you want to throw out one law that you think I should add to this?
Oh, that puts me on the spot. Let's see. I don't remember. I had a couple laws before, didn't I?
Yeah.
I will have to get back to you because it's the laws are the sort of thing that I see a problem, I think of a law, or it comes to me, So I'll have to get back to you with what kind of law to submit.
Gotcha. Well, okay. How about, this might help, and if not, then that's fine too. But what if you just look at our current situation, things that are legal and illegal? What's one law you would change in the U.S. right now?
One law I would change in the U.S. right now. I think it's crazy that we have this border situation where you could declare yourself a refugee, and because you made it into the United States, then we basically just give you a court date and release you, and then 3 years later you're long gone. When your court date comes up. I would rather it be if we catch you, then you're kicked back out from whatever country you came from, which in this case is often Mexico. So you cross the border from Mexico, back to Mexico, and we'll still give you a court date for your hearing for your asylum case, but you can't just disappear into the country until then. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, is that what the detention's for? I know there's that whole thing where people talked about kids in cages or whatever, but is the idea that if you are seeking asylum, so you don't want to be in the country you're fleeing from, but you haven't had your case yet to figure out if you can become a legal citizen, are you basically just offered either going back or going in a detention center, like not like a prison, but just waiting until your case?
Well, you get my understanding is that you're held in for a little bit. You get a preliminary hearing. You're told you get an actual court date, which is a few years from now, and then you're released back in, just in the country, like you know.
Or I mean, what you think should happen, like should, because I would guess that if somebody was seeking asylum, they wouldn't want to go back to the other country, but you also think that they shouldn't be released into this country, and I probably agree. So do you think it should be offered that if it's preferable to be going back to their other country, that we have buildings where you can be there, but you don't have permission to leave and just be free in the U.S.?
You mean like almost like a camp that you can decide to stay in?
Yeah. And that's what I thought detention centers were, like the ones where people talked about like babies in cages or whatever. But yeah, something like that, where you just like near the border, there's a camp of sorts, a pretty big area. It's not like a prison in the sense of how depressing a prison is, but it's just an area where you cannot leave and just wander in the U.S., but it's technically in the U.S. and it's you can just live there and not have to be afraid of whatever led you to seeking asylum.
Well, I think that we could start that in an individual circumstance where there's like a real actual war going on and there are refugees, as opposed to this sort of like political language where we just call all these people refugees because they want to come to this country. So yeah, that would be appropriate if there were like a real war on, you know, like another Mexican civil war. Mexico has plenty of civil wars. If that starts up again, we would have to have all kinds of refugee camps, you know, but it's all just dishonest political language right now. So for now, the answer would be no. If that circumstance arises, then yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm going to ponder that one further because that's a big topic. Cool. Well, thanks for talking, man. I'm gonna boot you out of here and adjust the website and then sign out of here. But let's set up another talk soon.
All right. Absolutely.
All right. Yep. Take care, man.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. So for the rest of this, I'm just going to take like 10 minutes to adjust this website a bit and then call it good. Okay, when I go to current laws. Okay, I think what I'm going to do. I have this section that says law enforcement, but I think I actually want to move that back over to current laws. Okay, outlawed actions toward children, outlawed action towards animals. Okay. Traffic laws. Okay. I'm gonna close. I'm just going to make these smaller or default text. Okay. Running from police in vehicle. Okay. Outlawed. I'm going to put actions police interaction. Running from the cops in vehicles. Punishment based partly on speed and duration and high risk of danger to others. And then I'm going to note at least 1 week in jail up to, I'm just going to put like 10 years because there are definitely cases and probably most often where it should be something more like that. But that might sound outrageous to some people and maybe they can convince me otherwise. 10's a lot. I'm going to move it to 8. Part of me wants to move it to 5, but I'm going to move it to 8. Okay, so fleeing after officers' orders, resisting arrest, property damage cost, property damage and medical bill cost owed by perpetrator. Driving with suspended license, first offense extended suspension, second offense jail time. Lying to the police. Oh yeah, I made a note about lying to the police. I don't know. I wonder. I don't know if there's any cases where it would be not illegal to lie. So if anybody thinks of one, let me know. Officers should receive warnings and punishments for illegal commands. So in that case, I'll put outlawed actions by police. And then, should I have... Okay. I'm going to make that bigger. Title. Okay. Well, for some reason, that is not wanting to... What the heck? Alrighty. For some reason, this is being weird. Oh, wait. Maybe that's going to do it. There we go. Title. Oh, my gosh. Maybe this will do it. Title. Title. No way. No way. Okay. Actions involving police interactions. Okay. That was ridiculous. Okay. Let's see. And then same here. Let's go title. Okay, that's how I have to do it. That makes sense. Action towards okay. I'm gonna make a note. Oh, let's see. Okay. Animals, maybe. Action involving police. Did I delete? Is this just home? Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, let me copy that. And then I'm not worried about those two, so I'm going to go to current laws. Okay. Okay, so for the circumcision one, I'm going to change that to the minors and wait, for real? What in the heck? Okay. Default text. You know what? Maybe it is this what's doing it? Okay. I'm just gonna put that there and that there. After 8 weeks, that will be the adjustment for the abortion. Okay, delete that. Okay, delete that. Okay. You know what? Let's do this. No, I'll do that. Oh my gosh, I gotta figure out a better way to edit this, not having to do it live. Outlawed. I'm gonna remove the preborn part of the killing because I put that in a different section. And then I'm going to edit that down to that size. Move that to title. Cool. Okay, I think I got that all fixed up. The law enforcement one, I'm actually just going to delete this because I think I already adjusted all that. Delete. And then when I go to the home page, I'm going to delete all that. Current laws. Okay, so then if I were to... Okay, I think that's good enough. Okay, I'm gonna leave that at that. Okay, well, anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. I need to figure out, well, yeah, I'll figure out a way to get the website in a good spot where people can check it out. But I'm gonna end this one here for now, and we'll do another one soon. All right, take care.